This is Diana again. Thanks so much, first of all, for subscribing to this video series. I'm super excited to be working with Lisa. So really this time, I just want to give you a quick overview of the different different types and styles of riding that we have here available to us in Northeast Ohio. So really, we're super blessed at this point in just that we have so many different mountain bike trails. So mountain biking, we have a ton of trails. There's road riding, we have path, all-purpose trail riding, hike and bike, things like that. We also have gravel now. That's something that's really super new and quite popular these days, gravel riding. There's also the commuting. So a lot of people are using bicycles to get from point A to point B. So that is an option now. We have a lot of great infrastructure going into a lot of the cities in Northeast Ohio for commuters. And then also there is kind of park riding or BMX racing, dirt jumping. So I kind of lump those three into the same category because I personally would use the same bike for those three kind of adventures. So, but they are very separate. And if you wanted to get into that, you would find out very quickly that there's a lot going on there in that scene. So I'm going to just touch upon three of my most favorites out of all of those. And we'll start over here. This is what I'm going to consider my gravel bike. So initially this is a cyclocross race bike that I bought, raced cyclocross a couple of seasons, decided that maybe it would be more fun to get off-road and just for fun, ride some gravel with some friends. So I made a few modifications to this bike. I put on wider handlebars for more comfort for the length of time I would be in the saddle while riding gravel. I put on some different tires that are a little bit more aggressive tread and a little wider for comfort and to give me more traction. So what I really have to say about this bike is this bike is going to, out of the three I'm going to show you, really offer the most variety or the most bang for your buck, if you will. So this kind of bike, you can use this almost anywhere. You can commute with this bike and ride it around your neighborhood if you want. You can ride this on the towpath, the hike and bike, not a problem, very efficient. You can ride this on some really, non-aggressive mountain bike trails. I've seen a ton of people on bikes like this out on the mountain bike trails. You can also, if you want an adventure, you can strap on some racks, throw some bags on, head to Amish country, ride the gravel roads down there. So this is probably the most fun for the money you would spend, in my opinion, on a bike. So any type of gravel bike or setup that you can get, I highly recommend. Next over here, this is my mountain bike. So this one is probably the one I use most often. Absolutely love mountain biking. What makes this a little bit different, this is very, very specific. So you can ride this bike in your neighborhood on the paths. I rode it across town a couple months ago to ride a mountain bike trail. It's not the most efficient at doing that, but it will get the job done. But it's super fun on off-road terrain. So this specific bike has 29-inch diameter wheels. It has disc brakes. It's a full suspension, meaning it has this suspension fork up front, and it also has a shock here. So the fork and the shock are really gonna help soak up some of the bumps and rocks that you're gonna encounter on a mountain bike trail and make the ride just a little bit more comfortable, which quite honestly, at my age, my back really, really appreciates. So this is my most favorite bike to ride. Again, very specific to probably what you're looking for, when you're riding off-road. Third, over here, this is my dirt jumper. So this bike here, I mainly ride this bike in two places. I'll ride this bike all winter at Ray's Mountain Bike Park. It's perfect, I think, for Ray's. It does not have rear suspension. It's not really necessary when you're riding in Ray's or riding the BMX track or places like that. It does have the suspension fork, which I love. There are, you can put on here a rigid fork, but I really like the suspension. It soaks up a little bit of the mistakes that I make while I ride because I am not perfect. And it's just a little more forgiving and really adds some confidence to the ride from my experience. As you can see, this is a bike that you would not sit down on while you're riding. You're standing up a lot when you're riding this. And as I think I mentioned real briefly, I also ride this at the BMX racetrack. Super fun at the racetrack. If you did not know, there is a racetrack in the Akron area, open to many, wide variety. If you know how to ride a bike, you can race or ride at the Akron BMX racetrack. So highly recommend, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, try the BMX track. These are 3 of my most preferred bikes. However, there's also something new in the market that is called an e-bike, which is, you can find an e-bike version of almost every bicycle that's made today, probably with exception to the dirt jumper. I haven't seen an e-dirt jumper yet, but the e-bike basically just provides you a little bit of an assistance while you're riding. There's a battery pack on it, stores the energy as you're riding it, just to provide a little bit of a boost maybe on some of the climbs. Or I've seen some people who are using e-bikes now for commuting, which I think if I had an e-bike when I tried to commute several years ago, I might have actually gotten into it a little bit more. Just takes a little bit of the stress out of the physical stress out of riding. So if you're looking for an e-bike, I mean, or even just to try one out, I highly recommend it. They're a lot of fun as well. So yeah, so basically these are like I said, my 3 preferred styles of bikes and ridings to do. But you know, like I said, there's a ton of different types of riding. There's a bunch of groups out there to get familiar with if you're not already. So I truly recommend just try to get connected, even if it's to something new. So there's Facebook groups that I've seen out there. There are forums. I highly recommend stopping into your local bike shop. Local bike shops are fantastic for connecting to specific communities. They will be able to point you in the right direction as far as different clubs. They themselves, a lot of times, do shop rides. That's a great way to meet people that maybe have the same interest as you, have the same skill set as you. So I highly recommend hooking up with your local bike shop. If you don't know where your local bike shop is, what I always do, even when I first moved to this area where I live now, or when I go out of town, you can do a real quick search on your phone of bike shops near me and just go check them out. Usually they're all pretty cool. So really, yeah, I just wanted to, in this first video, kind of go over a few different styles of bikes that you can get into, maybe make you more aware to the different types of riding we have here in Northeast Ohio, and get out there and try something new, definitely. So take care, and I will see you on the next video.